BSK Reeves gray paper. It's really more a drawing paper, could be a printing paper, but it's fine with watercolor, and I liked what it did. The way it carried my little point, which is about water. Painting with water, which I think is a very useful concept, and once you start, it's not that everybody will paint in this manner, but it promotes watching how the water dries, how your wash dries, and adding more color or not, or more another wet wash into wet wash, or waiting till it dries. I mean, just playing with every facet of water, which is, in a way, for me, the most important part of watercolor, because you're working with water. It's a water medium. The water is carrying the pigment. Sometimes it carries it and suspends it and drops it and it dries, and you get that sedimentation, which is so wonderful and characteristic. But I think working with water so that it's just your best friend and best aid is just, you get into another zone. And the painting, and your painting is more magical, or more watercolory. I put up some other sort of frontal things to go along with the frontality of these uncomplicated floral, if you will. You can treat them, I mean, put your character to it. This is, I'm going to keep bringing in these, the winter photographs. At some point people want to work with some of that. It's great fun if you haven't done it too. So I put that in, and there we are. And here's Monet, and then I did a little kind of copy of it on the gray paper, which was sort of fun to fool around with it. I will just do a hyacinth. Here is my completed one that I did in order to just do the painting with water. So now I will do it again in some form. I'm starting first with a contour drawing. And when I do a contour drawing, I know everything I'm saying is a repeat. Somebody of you, I'm sorry.
Never hears.
You never can hear me enough.
It's not a repeat for me.
No. Okay.
Not a repeat for me.
This goes out to you, Susan. I hold my pencil like this when I do a contour, because otherwise
Is to control.
I get like this. And
I don't remember that.
oh, so something that's new. Maybe I never said that. So I'm really doing the outside contour, kind of trying to internalize the spaces. It applies to what you're doing and probably doing in there. And if we think of our friend Ruskin again, and the Ruskin exercises I've done here many, many times, the contour of the petaling is what tells you about that. You could do, it gives you the information so that anybody looking at that, more or less, is going to say, oh, that's a hyacinth, rather than that's a rose or a, I can't think of it.
Hydrangea.
Yeah, you get the character of, I mean, they're little bell-like things, and they curl up and out, and some of them you see against each other, so they clump. Obviously, on the sides, you're seeing them, and they are their character as a floret, and the florets tell you about the big story. And don't forget, there are a million ways to paint a hyacinth. I'm doing it one way because I'm talking specifically about painting with water. Okay, so there I am. And if you see a little place where maybe there's a I can see through. That's why I put this behind it. That's why I put whatever I did behind there. Then, I think I say, another sidebar on doing this hyacinth if you want to, or you know, after this you don't have to do it because it's done. But is the color, characterizing the color and nailing the color as, you know, to your eye. And my instinctive color for this, when I did this one, was manganese and cobalt violet. It doesn't need to be, and I did some...
Manganese blue?
Manganese, yeah, manganese blue. And then the other one I used, and I think I varied some things later, was cobalt and permanent rose, which I think I like the best. Manganese is a little risky because it's a little to the green, and you're more likely to get something a little bit muddier. But the other thing, again, why to use this paper at all, why bother, why not be using this, is so you have to do a little adjustment in thinking, and that makes you paint, or maybe it does, can make you paint freshly. I also experimented with carbazole violet and cobalt for and the whole point of any of these, because I'm going to be doing the water thing, is that in what way these colors come through, and that undercolor, we talked what a dominant color, undercolor, whatever, it will reveal that the little blues or the little pinks, the pink of the carbazole violet will emerge in a bath of cobalt wash.
It's going to have a different effect on the gray paper
Yes.
than it does on the
Right, so that was for me, kind of just to trip myself up a little, because, you know, I mean, this maybe not worth it, but to me, it made me do a little extra thinking, because I had to adjust to that gray. No reason you have to use gray, and you can do whatever, but it will do differences. And so I am now putting it down some water. And I think I said in the handout that I would do, you could do just parts of things and then come back. I think I did here, and then I came back a little into some of these things. So you don't necessarily have to wet the whole thing. You can adjust the amount of water. That's the whole point, is to try to be familiar with your brush, how much it conveys. So I'm going to just use that for a start. And I think I will use, what will I use? I'll use cobalt and permanent rose. And I'm going to put, which would you put down first?
I was going to say permanent rose, but I...
Okay. We'll see. I'll put the permanent rose.
Probably not. Cobalt.
I'm going to put some permanent, it may not,
I think, yeah, the
it may not
cobalt.
matter. But I'm just going to do whatever for now. And
Let the water.
let the water carry it. And then add in some cobalt. And when you start seeing it sort of percolate out, or whatever you want to call it, is there a better word? I've never...
No, that's good.
Percolate. Is that what percolate means?
No.
Absolutely not.
We know what you mean.
Okay, as long as you know what I'm talking about. You then start seeing how the pinkish permanent rose starts to convey light too. And so, I mean, this is another reason just to play with this kind of, conveying, because it'll start to show, oh, this is the lighter upside of the hyacinth. and vice versa. Okay, now I'm just going to add a little more water. And think about your brush. Also, think about using a different brush here and there. You can, you know, you might come in with a very, with a small brush or a flat. And now I am feeling I want definitely some, and the thing to do for me is to don't be too quick to amend it. Don't just say I have to. Oh, it's got to be darker there or whatever. You're sort of surrendering yourself a little bit to what it is going to show, what it will percolate out or not. Gravity again, of course. Tip, 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 and. Okay, I'm going to try to get some real pale things up here. Just for the sake of playing with this and playing with the gray that's already established, I'm going to bring in a new guy. I'm going to bring in the manganese, a little manganese, and see if I can get some of those kind of grayer. That little manganese?
Yes.
Okay, then I'm not going to touch it. Now, also up in here, partly because of the paper, partly because of the cobalt. Cobalt has a certain amount of sedimenting. Not as much maybe as ultramarine does, or as cerulean, or as, well, manganese. But you're getting some nice stuff in here. We all know that paint dries lighter, so don't we?
Yes.
Maybe everything is wrong. Everything is wrong. Anyway, one of the nice things about manganese and cerulean, to me, again, is though it's a sort of cool-ish, I mean, it's a blue, it's also warm. It's got this sort of quality of light. You can often just tuck one of those colors in on something at the top of flowers or anything, and you get this kind of light, lovely light feeling. I think I'm not going to actually do much. I'm going to take a little more cobalt up here. And again, you're thinking about these places where they kiss and kiss and explode. And but you know, letting the water or telling the water, you're allowing the water. That's a better term. You're allowing the water to make these conveyances into different shapes, which will be a little bit more organic. None of this all of this could be done directly without talking about the water, without playing with the thing. But there's something about this I think is great.
Your purple separates out into two different colors.
They all do, in a way.
But Imperial in particular, because it has this pink.
It's got a pinker thing. But, you know, here I am breaking an edge. Look what happens. Look at that. That's a painting. That's enough. Mark Rothko said so. Look at that. I mean, you're right, Lisa, that there's much more of a red undertone in Imperial.
There's a light
Right.
gray pigment that floats away. And
Yeah.
blue sinks.
Yeah. But you get some of this in any of them. Here's carbazole violet with cobalt. It's how one informs the other. It's the relationship. It's all about the relationship. I think a little bit more while it's at this stage of wet. The other thing about playing or painting with water is, as long as it's still there as a underpinning the water. These joins are natural and they go out and they do this kind of beautiful fading in or out, dark to light, light to dark. I'm not going to do any more for this now, but it probably would be something that, you know, when you want to just get back into this to get more of the flower shapes, and then you just switch over to the other side, which was sort of dumb of me. You might come in and put in some defining shapes that buttress the shape, the outside shape of a blossom or whatever. Or you might re-wet and add in another layer, you know, the layerings too. So there you are. That's all I need to say.